Hello everyone, welcome to Alka's learning program. Today we are going to do the chapter Indigo by Louis Fisher for class 12. Indigo is a kind of a plant, and how the story revolves around indigo and the Britishers and the Indian farmers, the role of Gandhiji, the issue that was there, and how the issues were solved, we'll find out this chapter. So there we move ahead. Now, Louis Fisher was a Jewish American journalist. Among his works were a contribution of the ex-communist treatise, The God That Failed in 1949, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi in 1982, The Life of Lenin in 1965, and this expert, Indigo, is taken from the book of The Life of Mahatma Gandhi, and there we are starting it. The chief characters in this play are Rajkumar Shukla, who was a sharecropper, Charles Freer Andrews, a follower of Gandhiji. He was a Jewish American journalist. Kasturba Gandhi, the wife of Mahatma Gandhi, and Devdas, the youngest son of Gandhiji. Now, what was this issue? The issue was that the arable land in Champaran was divided into estates by the Englishmen. The Indian farmers worked as tenants. The chief commercial crop was indigo. The tenants had to plant 15% of indigo on the land. They had to surrender the entire indigo as rent. Then came synthetic indigo into the market. The landlords forced new agreements. They asked for 15% of the compensation. The peasants resisted, and thus the widespread unrest was there. Now, what is the story? Let's look it up in points. Very simple. Rajkumar Shukla, apprised of the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar. He took up his complaint. He wanted to complain against the Britishers. He himself was one of the sharecroppers. Gandhiji was busy. He took the case to Gandhiji, but Gandhiji was busy. But Rajkumar Shukla was resolute. He was stubborn. He followed him unless he promised to visit Champaran. Gandhiji had to promise him that he will be visiting Champaran. Gandhiji was on his way to Muzaffarpur. He stopped at the house of Rajendra Prasad. He even met J.B. Kriplani for more information. He met the advocates in Muzaffarpur and he chided them. The sharecropping system oppressed the farmers. The introduction of synthetic indigo in Germany led to the extortion of money from the peasants by the landlords. Gandhiji's arrival in Champaran, the meeting with the representatives of the landlords and the commissioner of Tirhut. The commissioner asked him to leave Tirhut immediately. Summons was sent for him, and he said, "I am going to disobey." His clash with the police superintendent and the summon to appear in the court, his plea admits that he is going to face the conflicts of the duty. Demonstrations were made. Thousands of peasants appeared. The helplessness of the British government plans, the jail bharo andolans was there. The British dropped the case against Gandhiji, and thus the Battle of Champaran was won. The report of the official commissioner of inquiry came. The refund of 25% of the money was agreed on. The landlord surrendered, the peasants gained courage. They learned he had defenders and the rights. The social work, education, health, cleanliness in the village was addressed by Gandhiji. The Champaran episode became a turning point in the Gandhiji's life, and they developed an attitude of self-reliance among the people and the lawyers. Now, what message does the story give us? The story Indigo highlights on the unequal economic systems that existed during the colonial British rule. It resulted in the Indian peasants' sufferings while the British planters exploited the Indian farmers. The story highlights the importance of Gandhiji's decision to take up their case, which exposed the unjust systems of the Britishers. What's the theme or the central idea of this story? The theme number one says that leadership is shown by Mahatma Gandhi to secure the justice for the oppressed people through convincing them, argumentation, and negotiations. The chapter in Indigo emphasizes on the fact that effective leadership can solve many problems without harming anyone. It deals the way Mahatma Gandhi solved the problem of the people of Champaran in a non-violent manner. The chapter highlights the struggles of the noble causes, never goes unrewarded. What was the role of Rajkumar Shukla in Indigo? He was a poor emancipated peasant from Champaran. He contacted Gandhiji in 1916 in Lucknow, but Gandhiji dismissed him. Shukla came to complain about the injustice and the landlord systems in Bihar. He followed Gandhiji to Kanpur and later to Calcutta. Gandhiji was impressed by Rajkumar Shukla's tenacity and his story, and he relented on him. How did Gandhiji reach Champaran? Gandhiji reached Muzaffarpur with Shukla, Rajkumar Shukla. He obtained the complete information. He discussed with Kriplani. He met the lawyers, he chided them, he understood all the legal angles. He met the peasants and sensed the unrest. He realized that the peasants were fear-stricken. He feels that he should arm these people, the peasants, with courage and fearlessness. You can see the image showing people in thousands of numbers coming to meet their champion. What was the role of the lawyers? They represented the cases in the court and collected the fee. They collected very high fee. Gandhiji criticized them for being duping and misguiding the peasants. They gave legal support. They were non-committal if he was arrested. Gandhiji appealed for the justice for the sharecroppers when they were arrested. The lawyers felt guilty of desertion. They supported Gandhiji's civil disobedience movement and they helped him to file the grievances against the landlords. What were the steps taken by Gandhiji? He approached the landlord association, met the commissioner who was a cold-shouldered person. He proceeded to Motihari to investigate. He was served the official notice to leave Champaran. He signed and said, I am going to disobey. The peasants demonstrated outside the courtroom. The officials became powerless and the government was baffled. Thus, the Champaran Satyagraha took place. Gandhiji was encouraged by the mass support he got. The court arrest says obeying the voice of the conscience. He convinced the lawyers to join the movement. He continued collecting legal evidences. The government was forced to set an inquiry commission. Finally, they agreed for 25%, and the Battle of Champaran was won. Gandhiji appreciates the loyalty and the commitment. He understands the issues, connects with the masses. He organized the civil disobedience plan. He was a fair leader. He won the support of the lawyers. He was a visionary. He improves the social cultural backwardness in Champaran. Now that's a very important question in this chapter. How was the Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhiji's life? Elucidate on it. Gandhiji himself accepted the proposal that Champaran's episode was a turning point in his life. It was then that he decided to urge the departure of the Britishers from India. In fact, Champaran episode was the first experiment of civil disobedience. When Gandhiji was on his way to Champaran, he stayed in Muzaffarpur, where he met the lawyers who were fighting the cases of the sharecroppers. He understood the cases. The peasants were so crushed and fear-stricken that Gandhiji concluded that the law courts were useless. The real relief from them was to be free from the fear. The spontaneous demonstrations by the peasants showed that they were instilled with a new strength and the spirit. Gandhiji showed the poor peasants how to fight the British with satyagraha. He made them aware of their powers and the power of ahimsa. All this laid the foundation of the future movements and served as a great source of strength and motivation for the Indians. Another important question is, give an account of Gandhiji's efforts to secure justice for the poor indigo sharecroppers of Champaran. So in this answer, you'll have to pick up all the important points, all the steps that Gandhiji had taken to fight for the sharecroppers of Champaran, whom he met, where he went, how he picked up, and what all he did. Then, why did Gandhiji agree for the settlement of 25% refund of the farmers is another important question from this chapter. We need to take it into consideration. I have given the answers on the slides here. The Gandhiji's loyalty was not the loyalty to abstraction or concepts. It was the loyalty to the living human beings. Why did Gandhiji continue his stay in Champaran even after the indigo sharecropping had disappeared? Another important question from this chapter. Why is Champaran episode the beginning of the Indian struggle of independence? Because Champaran episode was one of the major events of struggle of independence. It was in the course of this small but significant movement that Gandhiji decided to urge the departure of the British from our country. A close examination of the problems of Champaran peasants opened Gandhiji's eyes to the unjust policies of the British rule. He realized that the people had to be made free from the fear, and only then they can be freed from oppression. The triumph of civil disobedience at Champaran motivated the launching of the movement on a large scale during the freedom movement. Hence, Champaran episode served as a stepping stone to the Indian struggle of independence. So Champaran is the place where Mohandas became a Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you. I hope I have made my points clear to you, people. If you have liked this explanation, do like and subscribe my channel and let it reach to every nook and corner where students are not able to get that guidance. That is the only aim of my channel. Thank you and have a nice day. Wish you happy learning and a good scoring in all the exams you undertake. Thank you.